right, we're recording. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Victoria. I'm a Q11. Well, I guess I should put the date. It's the spring 2020. So I'm Q11 for spring 2020. I'm a chiropractic student and I'm also doing the sports med masters. Yeah, I'm from Canada as well. I should probably say that. I'm from Fernie, BC. And Portland, I moved down there 3 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe it.
Great. Thanks, Vic. Let's see here. What inspired your interest in chiropractic?
Ooh, that's going to be a long-winded story. Sorry, Stephen. So for me, I played volleyball very competitively when I was a teenager, and I had low back pain when I was about 16, and I went and I sought out a chiropractor because my previous medical doctors weren't doing what they needed to do. I've had tons of injuries like knees, elbows, wrists, head, concussion. Played non-contact sports and I've had 4 concussions. That makes sense. Anyway, so I sought out a chiropractor because I was kind of Googling and I found one in Fernie, and he's an alumni actually from UWS from the 1999 class. Didn't know that at the time. And he fixed me up, and then I was 17 and it was a week before provincials and I couldn't get out of bed one morning. I just couldn't move. It hurt so much. It was a Sunday. I remember this. It's very vivid. Called my chiropractor and I was like, Paul, something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I have provincials in a week. Like, this is a big deal. This is like state championships. So it's big. It's the first time my school had actually qualified to go for the female team. So he got me x-rays and stuff, and I ended up having a stress fracture on my spine that the medical doctor didn't see at all, because in Canada the medical doctor has to see the x-rays first and then you can take them to your chiro. So yeah, I had a stress fracture on my spine. Found out it's actually really common. You'll learn in the curriculum it's pretty common for female athletes that do volleyball, gymnastics, football, even hockey. So from there he kind of basically was amazing and rehabbed it, and I don't know what I would have done without him. And then jokingly, my mother, saying he was Superman, was like, what do you know about vertigo migraines? And because my sister had them and she was on sedatives and she was 18. That was the only result that the medical doctors had for her, was to take sedatives for the rest of her life, which doesn't really make sense to me. So he said, come in and I'll treat her and in 3 months she was drug free. She's 20, how old is she? 28 now, and she's been drug free since she was 18. And that's pretty amazing. That's pretty crazy. So that kind of just like, sledgehammer to the head, being like, you have to do this. This is an amazing profession. And from there, it's just like, I played volleyball in college, and it just kept adding on. Like I kept getting injuries. My teammates were getting injuries, and I ended up being like the ones taping them and being like, hey, you should go see the physio or stuff like that. And then I started taking kinesiology and I just fell in love, and it just literally hit me over the head.
Oh, that's great. Did you start your undergrad with an eye towards?
No, I actually just wanted to go play volleyball. So I found a school that I was tall enough to go to, and I just did sciences the first year. And I became extremely more broken than I previously was. And I was like, okay, how do I actually do this? And I started kinesiology my second year. And I stopped playing volleyball. I was a little too broken. And from there, I did everything that would drive me towards chiropractic. I hadn't picked the school yet, but I just was looking into it more of like, okay, how do I get myself here education-wise? Yeah.
Did you finish your undergrad in kinesiology?
Yeah. Yep. I finished at the University of Calgary with a general major and a degree in kinesiology.
Oh, excellent. So when you were considering, when you were looking into schools, what kind of considerations were you looking at for chiropractic schools, and then what made you land on University of Western States?
Yeah. So the things I was looking for was evidence-based, because, coming from kinesiology at UC, it's a really well-known faculty with a lot of evidence, a lot of research that they actually do at the school and stuff. So I was like, I need to make sure that this is not just some, excuse my language, cult. And they're just like hocus pocus things happening. So I needed to make sure it was evidence-based, which was really important. So that was a lot that weeded out a few schools. I wanted to make sure that I was close enough to my family because, it's a big issue going across the states and living by yourself and everything. So I wanted to make sure I was close to my family. Also that I liked the city. One of the reasons CMCC just wasn't a good fit for me was because I didn't like Toronto. I still don't really. It's 16 lanes of traffic on one of the freeways, and I was like, no thanks. And I wanted the school to feel good for me. It's a weird thing. I've gone to a lot of different schools, and I wanted the community based that UWS offered. That's what I was looking for. I wanted to make sure like I was supported, not just, academically, but also, physically and emotionally and mentally. And I wanted to make sure that was community based. One of the big things, like I came down for a tour to UWS, and one of the biggest things that caught my eye is they had a gardening club. I love gardening.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is awesome. This is a great stress relief. This is some way to like connect with other people outside of like chiropractic and stuff. And I thought that was amazing. The other thing the UWS really stood out for me was the ability to the sports med side of it, because as I said, I'm an athlete, or I was an athlete. I still like to think myself as one. But I'm a former athlete, and I saw so many injuries, and I still do. And I worked for a hockey team before coming to school. With my kinesiology degree, I was able to work for a hockey team, and I saw this huge potential population that needed attention from chiropractic and how it could help. And that just wasn't a way for me to be able to incorporate myself into that with that sports med degree, which I really drew my attention. So UWS, like the community, how small the classes were was big. When I came for a tour, everyone knew everyone. You just walked around and was like, hey, how's it going? What's up? How's your day going? And they actually genuinely cared, which was a big thing for me. For like, as I say to a lot of people, the academics, a lot of the schools, you're going to be fine with the academic side of thing. You're going to learn to be a good doctor. But for me, I wanted to be a great one. I'm very competitive. I want to be one of the best. And I thought that UWS had that best way to offer it for me to be the best doctor that I could be.
Great.
Long-winded. I warned you.
That's great. That was a great answer. You're in the sports medicine program as well, and so it sounds like you kind of drew your inspiration from your volleyball and working
Very
with
much.
the hockey team, and felt like it was a really good fit for you. Huh?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I don't play hockey at all. I can barely skate. So it didn't make any sense that I got that job, but man, I fell in love. I had 16, 17-year-old boys was the level, and they were elite hockey players. It was insane. It was just like, what is happening? And I just fell in love. And there were so many injuries or not necessarily injuries, but just like general wellness that I just saw this great fit for chiropractic that could be there. And there definitely is. It's becoming more and more popular with a lot of sport teams, not just professional ones, but amateur ones as well.
How do you see sports medicine fitting into your career once you're done with school?
Unfortunately, in Canada, I can't call myself a sports chiropractor, which is unfortunate. I can call myself a chiropractor with a master's degree in sports medicine. But the program that they've offered at UWS, the way that it fits really nicely into the DC program curriculum, you only take like 2 courses extra per quarter, but the way that it is, it's a lot. You see a lot of it already in the DC program, and then it's just like that little bit specified for the sports. So for me, in my practice, I want to see sports athletes. Like I would like that majority of my population that comes in to be sports orientated, whether, it's like the weekend warrior that goes out skiing and stuff, or if it's the 14-year-old gymnast that's going to worlds in a week. It doesn't really matter to me. An athlete's an athlete throughout your whole life. And I do think that UWS, the practicum stuff that you get with it goes anywhere from like high school, elementary level, all the way up to like, we do like triathlons, and we go to Seaside, Oregon, and do that huge beach volleyball thing that's like world-renowned volleyball players. Of course, that's right up my alley, so I loved it. But I think what it can offer and the way it integrates so well into the DC curriculum is just, it's astounding. I don't know if I would do it separately from the DC program because it just works so well together. And it doesn't matter if you're Canadian or US, the knowledge that you take from it is so worth it.
So with the two programs, it sounds as if there's not too much balancing that you have to do to manage both programs overall.
I didn't find it so hard because they complement each other so well. There are like, right now I have a class right now that's kind of a pain in my butt because I have to read a lot of research articles, but they are very interesting ones. So it's kind of like, you kind of put in what, you get out what you put in. So I didn't find it too hard to add it to my schedule. I mean, you're always going to be busy. You're always stressed. What's a little extra? And I'm just crazy like that. I know there was some people that did drop it after our first or second quarter starting the sports med program, which is about quarter 6 and 7. But I know a few of them have considered taking it back up after they graduate. I'm also a weird anomaly where I do have a lot of sports medicine and kinesiology background, so that's benefited me a lot in the sports med stuff because it's just added to my foundation that I already have. So definitely anyone that's coming in and interested in sports med, I do recommend like taking some kinesiology based courses. You don't have to have a whole degree in it, but at least having a bit of a foundation of what they're talking about, because then it just makes it easier.
Great. I mean, I guess in that vein, reflecting back on your undergrad, do you feel like there are any courses that really prepared you for both the DC program and the sports medicine?
Definitely anatomy. The more anatomy you can get, kind of the better. UWS does a great job of teaching anatomy. It's even more in depth than my undergrad was. It's kind of hard because the US and the Canadian classes are slightly different. I've noticed there's a bit of discrepancy. But definitely physiology, super important, whether it's just normal physiology or like exercise physiology. I just found exercise physiology to be fascinating because it's challenging your body in a whole different way. And it's amazing what your body does. Taping or like an intro to athletic injury kind of stuff. I took one of those courses and it was really cool and it helped a lot. And they talk about like disc injuries, or at least they should, disc and spine injuries and stuff like that, which we get a huge class on it in the DC program, but it's nice to just have like that kind of vague knowledge of it, the basic knowledge, so you can just build on it. Others have asked me about business courses. The other thing about UWS that I really enjoyed was they did offer business courses, and it's built into the curriculum. It's not like an elective or anything. If you could, when you're in undergrad, take a couple business related courses, like, intro to business, marketing, or accounting, that'd be really helpful for you in the future with your practice, because we're trained to be doctors, not business owners. So it's kind of a steep learning curve when you get out of school and you have to do all of this like extra financial stuff and you're like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Did I answer the question? I kind of got lost.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. My next question was relating to what would you recommend, or what would you have taken if you could go back to undergrad? And it sounds like business. But
yeah. I plan on taking a couple just when I'm done. When I'm kind of bumming around waiting for my license to kick in, I'll do a little business orientated things. I don't plan on opening my practice right away. I want to work for someone else, just to get out of debt, and to see what I like and see what I don't like and kind of learn the ropes a bit more. The UWS teaches to the Oregon scope of practice and the billing and coding and everything as well. So coming back to Canada, I have to learn just how to do all that stuff first. It's not as complex, luckily. If you come back to Canada from the US, it's not as complex of billing and coding and insurance. It's pretty simplified compared to it. But UWS does teach you all the billing, coding, and how to make some moolah, at least that way, which is very appreciated.
Yeah. Great. Well, I guess, I mean, as a Canadian, when you coming this direction, did you find the admissions and transition to the a U.S. school challenging?
Um, Not really, no. Admissions, I don't know. I had a great time with my interview.
Mm-hmm.
I did find that UWS doesn't necessarily always focus solely on the academics like a lot of other schools do. They want to see who you are as a human and a potential doctor and what you could offer to the profession and the school and the culture that they've developed. So really, if you're having an interview, I always say, just be yourself and do and explain what like you're passionate about and what you want to do for your career and why this is important to you, and not necessarily focus on the academics. When I came down from a Canadian school to a US school, this I think just chiropractic school is its own beast to begin with. The amount, it wasn't necessarily a transition from the different countries, it was just transitioning from undergrad to grad school, because the volume of it, there's so much information that's just tossed at you all at once and you have to somehow catch it and shove it in your brain. The amount of exams that we had to take, after week 3, sometimes we had an exam every week, sometimes up to 5 a week. So it's a lot. It's just a big transition from undergrad to graduate school. Luckily we don't have to write a lot of papers. That's always nice. I like that. Compared to undergrad, where I was writing papers every week, and it sucked.
Mm-hmm. With the workload of grad school, do you find how do you balance your personal life? Are you able to
Carefully.
enjoy some strategies that work for you?
I made the mistake in the first 2 quarters of not giving myself that break from school and home as much as I should have. So now I've found, like, if I work hard from Monday to Friday, half of Saturday, then I can have all of Sunday off of school. So I generally try and go hiking, or, I ended up getting a dog in quarter 4 for stress relief and companionship and stuff, and to force me out of the house. So I'll take her for like a hike or go mountain biking. Do some adventuring, things that are not school related. And I think that's really important, is to make sure your time management's really good, because you need to make sure you're on top of it. A lot of people that come to UWS have kids and families and stuff. So you need to make sure you have time dedicated to that. Myself, I'm in a long distance relationship, so I have to make sure I have time dedicated to my partner, to make sure that he's happy and I'm happy, and that we actually aren't crumbling around us. So taking that time, whether it's the weekend, whether it's, you cut off at a certain amount of time every day, but you do have sometimes 10-14 hour days where you're studying, you're at school, you're at clinic, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. But taking that time, I have found, to meal prep and clean your house and like go on an adventure, that's really important, and it'll keep your mental sanity.
Great. Yeah, very important.
Very, very.
Find
And
that
also
time
the
for yourself.
endorphins. If you can get some
Yeah,
adrenaline rush, like, whew. I'm
that's
very
you.
excited.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Very
And
important
working
for me.
out too. That's like, it's not necessarily um like working out isn't like super pushed upon you when you're in the curriculum, but it is really important to do like strengthening stuff, to be a good adjuster and to be able to actually adjust like 30 people in a day. That's what you will be doing when you're in practice. And also to just not hurt yourself. You're going to be in spots where you're trying to adjust someone that's a lot bigger than you. Me, most of the time, 90% of the people I adjust are bigger than me. So I have to make sure I'm strong and I'm not going to hurt myself. So working out, and I'm so excited for the new campus with the new workout facility. Oh, it looks so nice. So that's really important too for your mental health. It also gives you a chance to just, go run on a treadmill or lift something and throw it.
Great. So only have a few minutes left here. How about, how'd you find housing when you moved to Portland?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, especially when you can't be there to go look at places. So myself and my roommate, I was very lucky that we had undergrad together. So we found places, we looked on the UWS housing links there because they do the survey from all the students of where they live and what they recommend and stuff. So we started there, and we actually found a really decent place, and they accepted us without. So Canadians, when you're coming down, here's a big one: you don't have any credit. You are null and void. You do not exist to the US government. So a lot of places will either charge you a whole bunch for your damage deposit or your security deposit. So it'll be like 1.5 times of what other people will charge. So be ready for that. Or you have to have a US roommate, or, you know, someone has to be there to sign for you. So that's kind of sticky. So the place that we found, luckily they had dealt with a lot of the chiropractic Canadian students, so they were able to let us do our application online, and then we were able to be approved and everything, and we have to show our proof of income from our loans and everything, so we have to send that all down. It's a bit of a headache, so definitely if you want the more specifics, just reach out to me or Natasha. Natasha will be your best friend when it comes to finding a place when you can't be in Portland. But definitely check the UWS website for the housing links, because that's where all the chiropractic students are, and they're used to having us. So the management will be able to be like, oh, you're coming to chiropractic school. Okay, great. This is what the process is, and this is what you have to do. Another thing is that's weird is they charge you $50 or something for an application fee, and that's really abnormal for a lot of places. So keep that in mind. If you're going to apply for somewhere, just be really picky of where you are, because you might only get one shot to do it, because you don't want to be spending $200 US trying to apply places.
Well, thank you for your time, Vic. Have some more questions, but we'll be able to regroup next week, and maybe tackle some of those other questions.
Sounds great.
Thank you.